In our game plan, we had the news that 500 billion Stargate Alliance for AI infrastructure in USA. That made everything gap up. All the semiconductors, AI stocks, all tech was gapping up. So when something is gapping up, we need to figure out how can we trade that, because there's always a risk of gap down. You see SPY has been moving higher and higher since inauguration, right back to the previous all-time high. But how do we decide that we go long or short in the morning? So that's when Ripster clouds come in handy. So as soon as the market opened, we wait to see what market is doing. Initially, SPY was weak, but QQQ was stronger. When I saw this pre-market high breaking out and I saw some strength in other semiconductor names, I told everyone to long QQQ. And then our stops were right here in this low of this candle. And you know we are bouncing over the cloud. Cloud systems are green. 512 is being reclaimed. Pre-market highs breaking out. So it's easy long. As we started to move up, I told everybody to move stops up to 530 on QQQs. I gave the 532 target. Then we pulled back right here. We pulled back on SPY. I told everyone to close the SPY calls, but I never told anybody to close the QQ calls. SPY QQQ swiping 512s, use 512s as the stops. That's why it was still a long here. You can add back on the long here. And I did still roll into the further calls at 10 a.m. That was I giving a target of 533 from this flat. You have to be patient with your lotos. That's how they go 100, 200%. If you were trading options, you can trade. I usually say everyone to trade the closest one. So 530 was a good one today. That went from $2 to $4. You could literally trade those options and hold them. And it was easy trade on QQQs. Even though we were gapping up, that was fine. And then we broke 512. That's when we get out. A lot of traders were short on the market. And even if you were short, it never went over that candle. If you were short, it was a nice fade. It was not an A+ setup. It's always a B- setup on this 512 shorts, because your target is kind of already met if you're shorting it here. But you definitely get out calls. Very low range on the market, just trading 52% of ATR. But definitely there was an opportunity. So that was a really, really nice real setup here. That's how you trade gap and go on QQQ using the pre-market levels, using the Ripster cloud. So let's look at ARM. I gave the plan in the pre-market on ARM. Support was 162. The resistance was 165.50. I said be a little cautious of profit taken at the open, but the breakout is over 165.50. So what does that mean? That means if it pushes over 165.50, you take long. Do not hesitate with your stops under the low of the candle or the clouds or the pre-market levels, and just take it long. By the time I looked at ARM, it already broke out of that level. And as soon as it broke out, I mentioned that it's a good long. We were long on ARM right at the open, and it was ARM pushed. And at 940, I gave the target 180 target, and then we were trading at 173. And we pushed to 180 target, and that's where you take first profit. And then it pulls back, and it's not fading under this level, 176. So as long as that holds, we have chance for a next leg up, because I gave the next target of 185. And I told everyone we can roll into the 185s. And at that moment, you can see that we held. Then after holding that level, broke out. That's a flag breakout. Ideally, in most scenarios, we're looking for that flag breakout, and we're looking for the 185 next target. Use the whole numbers. It's always good. And I look at the daily resistance levels, but there was a big seller. There was a 183 was a seller. That's why we use Bookmap. Then was a seller at 185. We never could cross the 183, and then we pulled back. At that time, you have to make a decision to lock more profit. You sell here, and then you see we're bouncing from the same level. Then it gives you another opportunity to go trade the long scalp right here as well. But at that time, it's just up, down, up, down, up, down. So most of the profit is made on this move. Beautiful trade, big trade for the community.
Come to trade with Ripster. Join the community at www.tenettradegroup.com.